spots, including Pets at Play in Churchill. Information at dogservicesrva.com. Support also comes to us from the McIntyre School of Commerce at the University of Virginia, educating the next generation of business leaders to use commerce as a catalyst for change. More at commerce.virginia.edu.
Radio IQ is broadcasting in digital on WVTF Roanoke, WRIQ Charles City Richmond, WURV Richmond, WVTU Charlottesville, WVTW Charlottesville, WVTR Marion, WISC FM Wise, WQIQ Spotsylvania, WIQR Lexington, WEHC Emory, and in Richmond on 92.5 and Fredericksburg on 94.9. Radio IQ, a service of Virginia Tech.
Funding for Here and Now comes from MathWorks, creators of MATLAB and Simulink software, accelerating the pace of engineering and science. Learn more at mathworks.com.
From NPR and WBOR Boston, I'm Scott Tong.
I'm Peter O'Dowd. It's Here and Now.
The 2 p.m. session of Roanoke City Council is hereby called to order, and I'll ask our clerk, Ms. Susan McCord, to please call the roll.
All right. Mr. Pretty? Here. Vice Mayor Cobb is absent today. Ms. White Boyd is out. Mr. Vollison?
Here.
Ms. Moon Reynolds? Here. Ms. Sanchez Jones? Here. Mayor Lee?
Here, and a quorum is present. This afternoon, our invocation will be delivered by the Reverend Trey Light, a deacon at St. John's Episcopal Church, and following the invocation, I will lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand for Reverend Light?
Thank you, Mayor Lee. In our tradition, we would usually say, before prayer is given, the Lord be with you, and so the normal response will be, and also with you, and then we'll just enter into prayer. So, the Lord be with you. And also with you. Let us pray. Almighty God, who has blessed us to live in this community of Roanoke, we humbly beseech thee that we may always prove ourselves to be a people mindful of thy favor and glad to do thy will. Bless our city with honorable industry, sound learning, and respect for one another. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and from arrogance, and from every evil way. Defend our liberties and fashion us into one united people, the multitudes brought together out of many kindreds and tongues. Endue with the spirit of wisdom to those in thy name we entrust the authority of government, that there may be justice and peace at home, and that through obedience to thy law we may show forth thy praise among the nations of the earth. In the time of prosperity, fill our hearts with thankfulness, and in the day of trouble, suffer not our trust in thee to fail. And so forth, send down upon these who hold office in this city of Roanoke the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people, today and always, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, our first order of business is to come out of closed session, and I'm going to ask Councilmember Peter Balsam to make that motion.
I move, with respect to any closed meeting just concluded, that each member of City Council in attendance certify to the best of his or her knowledge that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in any motion by which any closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered by the members of council in attendance.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Sanchez Jones?
Here.
Mr. Pretty?
Abstain.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon? Ms. Reynolds? And Mayor Lee?
Here.
Present.
See what happens? Let me say that the council of the city of Roanoke is really seeking applications for various vacancies on council appointed authorities, boards, and commissions. And as I make this statement every session that we meet, we want citizens to come forward and serve on boards and commissions. It's very important to us as we go about managing the business of this city. So I would encourage you who are interested to access the city's website at www.roanokeva.gov to complete an online application. Very easy. And also, you can contact our clerk's office, and they'll be able to help you with that. So come be a part of the governing of our city by serving on a board or commission. We got a number of them, and we're always looking for those citizens who want to be a part. All right. The council is also accepting nominations for the 2023 Citizen of the Year. And forms are available online and at www.roanokeva.gov/Citizen of the Year. And if you can't get online, and everybody may not be online, you can come to the clerk's office and they will give you that application process. And the deadline now for receipts of applications or nominations is Friday, November the 17th, 2023. And we want these nominations to come from you as citizens. Somebody that you see that does a lot of things, and sometimes it's not heralded, it's not in the Roanoke Times, but you see the things that they are doing to make an impact in this community. So we want you to be a part of this and submit your nominations so that the council can get together, deliberate, and make the decision for our Citizen of the Year. So thank you for your commitment in doing that. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask Councilwoman Stephanie Moon Reynolds to join me at the podium because we have a recognition of veteran Master Sergeant here, and you're going to find a little bit more about it in a second, so I'm going to ask Ms. Moon Reynolds to join me at the podium. I'm going to ask Ms. Moon to introduce our special guest.
You're all right, standing? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Mayor and members of City Council and audience and citizens watching online, it is with pleasure to stand here to recognize Veteran Master Sergeant Silverine Vineyard James. I am pleased to recognize a distinguished veteran of our U.S. Armed Forces Master Sergeant Silverine Vineyard James on her impressive career in service to our country and her 50th year retirement anniversary, which was Tuesday, October 31st of this year. Ms. James was born in Benton, Virginia on May 29, 1929. At that time, it was Memorial Day. May the 30th, I'm sorry, I had the wrong day. Thank you for correcting me on your birthday. You should know your own birthday, that's for sure. And attended a 4-room schoolhouse known as Benton Elementary School through the 7th grade prior to attending George Washington Carver High School in Salem, Virginia from 8th to 12th grades. Ms. James graduated third in her class in 1948. In 1949, and you may correct me now, at the age of 20, Ms. James' mother gave her permission to enlist in the Army. At that time, the age to enlist in the armed services was 21. Ms. James attended boot camp at an all-female company during a time of racial segregation. Ms. James was discharged from the Army in 1951. She didn't get enough, so she re-enlisted 2 years later and was given an assignment that would help lead to the integration of her company by becoming the only African American in the Judge Advocate General section of the Far East Command while serving at Camp Zama in Japan. Her military career included assignments throughout Virginia, Maryland, New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania, as well as Japan and Germany. Ms. James received 5 honorable discharges and a certificate of retirement from the United States Army after serving her country for approximately, get this, 22 years, 4 months, and 9 days. She didn't count down the minutes and the seconds. And attaining the rank of Master Sergeant E8, one of the highest ranking enlisted women in the United States Army. Following her retirement, she was employed at the Virginia Medical Center in Salem. And on June 6th of last year, 2022, in recognition of her service to our country, the Salem VA healthcare system renamed the Women's Health Clinic at the Virginia Medical Center in her honor. On October the 8th of this year, Roanoke County, during a ceremony held at the Explorer Park, honored Ms. James on her 50th year of retirement from the United States Army, and she also received an official letter from the Attorney General and recognition from former Virginia Governor George Allen. Now, therefore, it is only befitting that I, on behalf of the mayor and the members of Roanoke City Council and the 100,000 citizens of the city of Roanoke, present veteran Master Sergeant Sylvia Vineyard James with the key to the city in recognition of not only service to this great country, but also for the doors that she has opened for all women of color. Congratulations, and here you are.
All right, this is presented to Silverline Vineyard James Silverine
Yes.
for serving more than 22 years on active duty and attaining the rank of Master Sergeant E8 in fully integrated Army units and being one of the highest ranking enlisted women. Presented by Mayor Sherman P. Lee Sr. and members of Roanoke City Council on November 6, 2023. So thank you for your service again. Everyone come around here? Okay.
Do you all want to come down? Please.
Let's all come down.
Tough part of this job, photo op.
Oh, that looks great. Yeah, there we go. Ah, look at that. Beautiful. Congratulations.
there's not much that I can say. Stephanie told you all about me. I've been back in Virginia since 1974.
And you want to speak into the mic, they can hear you. They want to hear everything you got to say.
And I've enjoyed retirement. If anybody has any questions they want to ask me, I'll be glad to answer them.
Well, thank you again.
Any comments from the council, member council?
Say something.
I just want to thank you for your dedication for all your years of service.
I'm not
Thank you
hearing
very
it.
much.
Well, thank you so much, and, you don't want this guy, I thought, asking questions, you want to take this, go on.
I'm at home all of the time.
All right.
Thank you. Can you carry
Is
this in the
Sherman-
for you?
He's coming to get it. He's going to catch my hand.
You may want to take it. Thank you. Thank you again.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Did you tell Luke about,
She told me something, but she didn't tell me what. You tell me what I need to do.
all right, we're now down to item number 3, which is a hearing of citizens upon public matters, and city council sets this time as a priority for citizens to be heard. All matters will be referred to the city manager for a response or recommendation or report to city council as he may deem appropriate. Madam Clerk, do we have any people that have signed up?
Yes, we do. We have 4 speakers.
All right, please call them in the order of their signing up.
All right, I'll call the first 2, Christina Hahn and Chris Kraft. Christina? Okay, don't see her. Okay, Mr. Kraft.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lee, members of council. I want to reinitiate something that Mayor Lee was talking about. It's a pleasure to be on one of the committees for our city. I'm on the Civic Center Commission and working alongside of Robert and Sean to get great shows into the city is a fun thing to do. And there's always something fun to do in our city. The second thing is you'll notice on your seats is a shirt from the Lee Youth Outdoor Basketball for each one of you. I'm sorry if the sizes are wrong, but our city clerk said she couldn't get no response on sizes. Is what my email says. But if you didn't know, we've put it on a hiatus for right now. And we're not going to get rid of a lot of the stuff because we're hoping with our new police chief that we can get the program back rolling again with more participation. This is just a thank you for y'all and your support of the program and everything that it stands for. From the Wildwood Civic League, we've had parents ask us if the city council really cares for the citizens, they need to do the same thing that our state government did. Eliminate the grocery tax. That will help feed more families, kids, and elderly. And I believe it would. We need to look into that. There's got to be some way that we can be the first in this valley to do it and make a change for our citizens. Because I know there's some in my neighborhood, they have to go to 2 or 3 different food banks to be able to get food. And they wouldn't have to if they didn't have to pay a grocery tax. And last but not least, I didn't even know he was going to be here, but I have to brag on our Public Works Director, Dwayne Darden. And over the years that I've known him as the president and just a general neighbor of the city, he is a great friend of the Wildwood Civic League. He does a great job. All you have to do is call him up. He'll do his best to bend over backwards to help you out. If he can't, he will find a way. And I thank the city for having such great people as him and Hong Lu. And I hope that there's many more to come just like them. I hate to see Hong Lu in traffic retire next year, but he deserves it after everything that he has to put up with in the city on traffic.
All right, thank you. Chris?
The next speaker is Lavanya Harrell, and followed by Troy Eichelberger.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lee and members of the council. Thank you again today for the opportunity to speak to you briefly. Again, I come before you today with a deep concern for our city, as I know you have, and a call for prayer at a deeper level than ever before. Roanoke has become a war zone, both in the natural and in the spiritual. An evil war is being played out in our streets, but make no mistake, it is first being played out in the heavenlies above our city. The Apostle Paul in the scriptures said in Ephesians that we never fight against flesh and blood or against people, but against principalities and against powers, against rulers of darkness, against spiritual wickedness in heavenly places. He went on to tell us the only way to fight in this realm is through prayer and with the full armor of God that he listed in Ephesians 6. I realize that many would say that prayer without action is dead, but I would like to remind us today that action without prayer is useless and ineffective. It will not be by might, it will not be by power, it will not be totally by committees or councils, but it would be by the Spirit of the Lord. I'm very thankful that these council sessions begin with prayer, and I was moved by the prayer today. That makes a statement. It makes a statement even in the heavenly realm that we are totally dependent upon God. We're nothing without him, and we're never going to win against evil without total dependence upon his grace and power. Mayor Lee, I have observed over the last couple of years our pride in being named a welcoming city. And I have had to ask myself, however, in recent months, what are we welcoming people into? I was saddened to run across a report, and I don't know if it's accurate. I wrote a report recently that placed Roanoke as the #1 high-risk city in Virginia. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but it infuriated me, meaning that there's a 1 in 19 chance that citizens of Roanoke will be victims of crime. My husband and I pastor in Northwest Roanoke, and we're all too familiar with the perils of crime that are reaching our doors, but thankfully no one in our congregation has been harmed. But murders are taking place just blocks away from us. Our church congregation prays every week on Wednesdays, but this week we're having a once, and may become more than once, outdoor on our lawn community prayer just for Northwest Roanoke. And if I'm allowed to, I'd like to leave the flyers here. It's part of our Roanoke revival that we do every month. But this month we really felt like we wanted to ask if any in the community want to come. We are going to target all our prayers to Northwest Roanoke. There will be no speakers, there will be no preaching or teaching. We are going to activate the most powerful thing that can be activated, which is prayer of agreement. I know I've asked before, but I'd also like to ask again that this council consider designating and consecrating a day of prayer citywide so that all churches and all people who are willing would come together in agreeing prayer. It's time to pray, Roanoke. Thank you for listening today.
Thank you, Pastor, and I've had a chance. Yeah, I've had a chance to visit the church on occasion, and I want to thank you for your commitment and to that community that you're in, and also this effort. And I'll be talking to the city manager about the day of prayer and the things that we need to do to have that or declare that. So it's not on deaf ears, and I'll get back with you once I confer with the city manager, and we can talk about what things that entail. All right, thank you, and members of the church for coming and being a part of that. All right.
Okay, we have one more speaker, Troy Eichelberg.
I say good afternoon to everybody, or good evening.
Good afternoon, Troy.
Men should always pray. Amen.
Yeah. Amen.
Mayor Lee, City Council, City Manager, the Clerk, the City Attorney, I just want to thank you for your service and pray God's blessing for you. Continue to do what you need to do for Roanoke City. I wanted to speak, but for a committee that I'm on, but I have not gotten the authorization, so I just want to tell you thank you for your work. I live in Northwest Roanoke, Washington Park. My wife and I walk that park pretty much every day, but I just want to thank you for your work and continue to do your work for the citizens of Roanoke, Virginia. And finally, when it comes to Washington Park, I want to thank the late Superintendent of Parks and Recs. I believe it was Mr. Brochure. And didn't know him that much, but when I would call him, he would talk to me. And he did some things, set some things in place, and I'm grateful for that. But finally, voted for many of you. Amen?
Amen.
But continue your work for the citizens. And you know what? The best is yet to come for Roanoke, Virginia. Thank you.
Amen. That concludes our speakers. All right. Okay, and next item is the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the members of City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussions of the items. If discussion is desired, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. I need a motion for the consent agenda.
Mayor Lee, could I remove C2 and C3 as separate items?
All right. C1 and C.
Oh, C2 and C3.
Let me, what do you want to do, C2?
C2 and C3.
All right. All right, there's a motion now on the consent agenda?
I would move that the consent agenda be approved with the removal of C2 and C3 for discussion as separate items.
All right. The second?
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? And Mayor Lee?
Aye. And so the consent agenda, minus those two, have been approved. All right, at what point do you want to discuss that?
The C2, if we could, this is just the one that will authorize a public hearing that we'll have regarding amending our charter for elections. I just wanted to speak to it briefly, knowing the time of year that we are in, and we didn't cover it directly in the legislative committee. But this, just for the public aware, this is just a routine process that we are going through every year to make sure that our charter will be updated to reflect the process that we have been following for over a few years now. This is something that I honestly believe should have been done in prior years in the General Assembly. I have not been pleased with how it's been held up over political reasons. I think we have seen how turnout reflects in November elections versus May elections, and it's just important that we do this as a procedural matter so that we can have our charter in line with the way that the entire state is operating at this moment. And I just wanted to make those comments on the matter, and I'm so happy to make a motion to authorize it right now, if there's a second.
Okay, give a second, okay.
All right,
And your motion is?
A motion to request a public hearing to amend City Charter, Section 10, meetings of council generally, and Section 16, time of holding municipal elections. Is that correct?
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So is there a second on that?
Yes, with Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Yes.
Sanchez Jones.
All right. So what are we doing with that?
You just call the roll
Call the
now.
roll on that.
Pardon?
You call the roll.
Yes. Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Mrs. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones?
Aye.
And Mayor Lee?
Aye. All right,
And C2 is done.
C3,
And then I will move on to C3. I know we routinely receive resignations from boards, and that there are times at which people aren't available because of absences. And I understand this particular commission has come under more scrutiny, at least in the media and amongst this council. And the main reason I just wanted to pull this one out is because I think the work that they do is very difficult. I wanted to publicly air a thank you to Nicole for her time on the commission, and just make sure that it got something a little bit more than just received and filed from our council up here. So, but I'm thankful for that, and I make a motion to accept it.
Second.
all right, it's been moved and second. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on that?
Yes. Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones?
Aye.
And Mayor Lee?
Aye. I want to be noted, this, we decided today, in session, closed session, that we're going to hold off on anything official with the Gun Violence Commission until Vice Mayor comes back and has some pitch, so we got you covered on that.
Thank you for letting me know.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
All right. All right, Madam Clerk, we're down now. We need to call a roll on that?
We're-
Call a roll.
We did, we called the roll on that.
Okay. All right, so we're down on the regular agenda.
Well, hold on just 1 minute. We need to call the roll on the remainder of the consent agenda, so we
No, we
did.
approved the consent agenda. It's been approved.
You did that prior to? Yes, you did. Okay, now we're down to number 5, public hearings, none. Number 6, petitions and communications, none. Number 7, reports of city officers and comments of city manager. Number 7. So we're at 7-1?
Mayor, when the time is through, I would like to say something.
Pardon me, I can't hear you.
I said, when the time is right, I would like to say something, sir.
When time is right, you want to say it?
Yes.
She's asking
I'll
now.
let you know when the time is right.
Yes.
All right, the regular agenda, public hearing, non-petition communication, none, and reports of city officers and comments of city manager. And this time, I will call on our city manager.
Have no briefings. I will have some comments after the action items.
Okay. All right, Councilwoman Sanchez Jones, now's the time.
Thank you, sir. I just want to say that today, 44 individuals were sworn citizen. They're new American citizens, and they represent over 26 countries. And there's 2 very special people that became citizens today. One of them is Jose Manuel Ayala, and the other one is right in our audience, is Jay Indino Pretty. So congratulations, sir.
I'd just like to make a comment on that. Or they gave them an opportunity to speak, and I told him that he either had to speak there or he was going to have to speak here. And so he chose to speak there instead, but I'm sure we'd hear it again if he wants to come up. No, he doesn't want to do that. But now he can serve on all the boards and commissions, and that is also, if anyone was wondering where I was this morning, why I was not in council. It was a long naturalization ceremony, but it's a beautiful thing to witness.
All right, no speaking.
Oh, he is going to do it.
Oh,
You got to come up here to the microphone. Yeah, right?
he's going to kill you now.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to thank the Judge Urbinski for presiding the oath taking. It was very memorable and emotional because it just made me realize how far I've come through this country, and it's been 6 long years waiting for this moment to happen. And I'd like to just say to the people who are still waiting for their citizenship to just keep believing. It's a journey, and what matters is that you are continue to believe in yourself and to do the work. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Items recommended for action. A, 7.1A is the acceptance of the FY 2023-2024 Virginia Department of Transportation Highway Safety Improvement Program funds. There are 2 measures, one is a resolution.
Move the resolution.
Second. All right, Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
A resolution accepting the Virginia Department of Transportation's Highway Safety Improvement Program funds for FY '23 through FY '24 and authorizing the execution of any required documentations on behalf of the city.
All right, any discussion by members of council?
Yeah, Mayor, this was one of the items that a council member had asked about, so I'll give a very quick introduction to it and then ask either Dwayne or Ross to come up and give you a little bit more. My introduction is real simple in that in August you actually saw this, so it had come before you all, received your approval, and had been forwarded to the state. The state actually wanted to make some adjustments in some of the budget numbers, and that changed ultimately our match and the need to come back here again. But nothing has changed from what took place in August, but I'm going to ask Dwayne to come up, and he can kind of give you a quick snapshot of what is included in this program.
Good evening, sir.
How are you, sir?
All right.
There are several areas that we talked about back in August that are going to receive flashing yellow arrows. They are listed in your report there, so nothing has changed from a location standpoint. This is one of several HSIP grant applications that we're working on. This is fiscal year '23, where there were some leftover funds that we are using in additional locations. We also have fiscal year '24 that we're working on and VDOT is going to administer. And the fiscal year '25 is one that we just submitted the application for, and we came to you for approval to submit that application recently. But this is just correcting a clerical error, is all this one is.
Right. Mary, if I may, I was the one that had a question, and it really is not a question, it's just for clarity for the public's sake. We talk about the installing the flashing yellow lights, and I just wanted to just emphasize where they were going to be. That's what really much what I wanted to say was Williamson Road and Rutherford Avenue being over by the post office. So you're looking at, is that north and south, right?
It'll be on all the lights.
All 4, okay.
That's right.
And so I just wanted the public to know that they'll see a change when they're trying to turn to go to the post office. There will be a light coming to allow them to make that left turn in that left lane. And on Plantation in Preston, isn't there a light, the yellow, the green, yellow flashing light that turns onto Preston
So
from Plantation?
there is a signal, but there is not a flashing yellow signal like you have at Gainsborough.
Okay,
That's
I kept thinking it
going
was.
to be,
Okay.
this is additional equipment at that same location.
At that one, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then at Aviation Drive and Town Square, where is that one at? I was
So-
trying to picture that one.
So if you're turning from Aviation onto Town Square or the other direction, either way, you'll have flashing.
About the
yellow.
airport.
Correct, yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay, I was just making sure I had the right location. And then you mentioned rectangular rapid flashing beacons on McCallahan Street and Carolina Avenue.
Correct.
Flashing beacons.
So at Melrose and 11th Street, there's a rapid rectangular flashing beacon. That's simply
Okay.
jargon for when pedestrians punch the button,
That's
you
what
get
I
these
wanted.
flashing
Thank you.
lights
Thank
that
you.
say pedestrians going to cross.
Right.
Thank you for asking that question, because a lot
Right.
of folks don't understand the
Right,
jargon.
and that's what I was trying to think
Yes.
of, the flashing beacons, that's what I wanted to hear. And the same will happen for Salem Turnpike and Westwood Boulevard, that's up near the school.
Correct, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, that was it. Just wanted to explain so the public would be aware to see that coming on board.
And we always appreciate your questions because it is helpful for everybody to understand. A lot of the jargon, especially VDOT jargon, is not easily understood.
Right, so I appreciate that. Thank
Sure.
you.
Yeah, that's fine. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, Dan. All right. If no further question, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? And Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the resolution passes. There's a budget ordinance.
Move the budget ordinance.
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, read the title paragraph, please.
An ordinance appropriating funding from the Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Transportation, amending and reordaining certain sections of the 2023-2024 capital projects fund appropriations, and dispensing with the second reading by title of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there any discussion by members of council? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? Mayor Lee.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you. And the budget ordinance passes. All right, item 7.1B is appropriation of funds from the Virginia Opioid Abatement Authority and National Opioid Settlement. There's a budget ordinance.
Move the budget ordinance.
Second.
Madam Clerk, can you read the title paragraph?
An ordinance to appropriate funding from the Virginia Opioid Abatement Authority and the National Opioid Settlement for community-based opioid abuse programs, amending and reordaining certain sections of the 2023-2024 grant fund appropriations, and dispensing with the second reading by title of this ordinance.
Ms. Moon Reynolds, did you have a question?
Yes, sir. I just wanted, if Bob would go ahead.
I'll go ahead and give kind of a quick update, or not update, overview, and then Wayne is here to actually dig into any other details that you all might have, because he assisted in working with this. And of course, Tim certainly in his representation on the authority also. But as the council will recall, the city, along with every other basic municipality in the state and many others, have been involved in litigation around the opioids and the manufacturing of those, the distribution of those. Pharmacies and others are involved in those as well. And in the state of Virginia, there was the establishment of the Opioid Abatement Authority to help manage those settlements that came out of that. So there are multiple private parties and others that are actually settling lawsuits across the nation, and certainly here in Virginia. And then those dollars are being provided, in some cases, directly to localities, and in other cases to in our case, the Commonwealth. The authority is actually there to ensure that what those dollars are proposed to be spent upon are aligned with that litigation. And that's really to ensure that we don't jeopardize, that no jurisdiction jeopardizes what was agreed to in those settlement agreements. And you'll recall, we took it kind of one step further in that we said we wanted to actually come before you all and get an approval of sort of a 5-year kind of plan, much like we do our CIP. These dollars will be around for at least 17 years. We'll be receiving funds out of this settlement for that long, and so each year we'll adjust that kind of 5-year schedule, and it'll probably change from year to year, but it gives us some way to manage that. All of that was done several months ago. We submitted all of our information to the state, which you have to do even for the dollars that are coming directly to us. And I mean, they've approved all of those, and so this is actually the point at which we've received the funds now. Now we need to appropriate them so they can be spent in accordance with what was included in that plan. And then if that wasn't, if those things didn't complicate stuff enough, there are also continual additional settlements. So the dollar amount's kind of a moving target, and certainly as those reset themselves each year, we'll incorporate that into the 5-year plan that we bring forward. Just as a reminder, and it's in the packet if anyone wants to go online and actually pull it, but just a reminder of the types of items that are that have been in our plan and we're now approved to move forward with include. There's training, awareness and training for adverse childhood experience. That's the trauma training associated with it. There's funds for certified peer recovery specialists. These are the folks, and I should back up and say, remember, we're doing all of this in partnership with the collective response which we're using currently ARPA dollars to be able to fund the staffing of their staff at the regional commission with it. And so when I say things like certified peer recovery specialists, they're the ones actually that are the group that are hiring those, training those, and employing them as we go along, but we'll be providing funds to help in that. There's some test strips and some other equipment that's used to aid for testing of drugs or the presence of drugs out in the community. There are supplies and training for city EMS, obviously in our response to opioid overdoses and other substance uses. A warm line at the Blue Ridge Behavioral Health Care, that just gives a place that folks can call in to get assistance with it. Then there was also, you'll remember there's multiple buckets of funds, and one of those buckets is a competitive bucket where we can go with another jurisdiction and seek approval from the state for competition for those. And we did so in a couple of areas that are noted on here. We also have the regional programs with, again, the collective response to help them continue to grow and expand. And I'm going to have Wayne explain those here. And the last thing I'll say before he comes up is also the state established what they referred to as the gold standard. And that meant if we followed in every aspect what they deemed ahead of time completely aligned with the litigation and with what they were attempting to accomplish, then we were eligible for an additional 25% kind of bonus, if you will, of funding. And we have done that. And so this appropriation includes those additional dollars that are coming in. And Wayne, you want to maybe particularly talk about the regional, like the collective response, and then the regional project with Roanoke County?
Sure, absolutely. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I think Bob did a great job covering some of the individual distribution that we applied for through the OAA and received to help us start that 5-year plan that you all approved in May. We also worked with Roanoke County to receive $500,000 in funding for this fiscal year for the collective response to support them and to help them continue to grow and indeed help us pull off some of these projects that we've received funding for. As we go forward, we will continue to apply for this funding annually, essentially, and other projects may come up that we look at from a collective grant point of view, so we may have cooperative grants, I should say. So we will continue, I think, as we go forward with collective response, we'll continue to bring on more partners from the region to help us apply for that funding so that we remain competitive and can continue to seek funding for them. And we have listed a couple other projects that we haven't sought funding for yet, but may in the future. We listed a few in the 5-year plan. We're currently working with the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court now on a potential project that we may fund for next year. We've talked a little bit about potential for a recovery housing plan and more money perhaps for the collective response to do their own grants. So those are all ideas that we've floated before, but we have not applied for those. And at this time, it's really for the 5 projects that Bob mentioned earlier, acceptance of that funding and acceptance for the cooperative grant that we have with Roanoke County to fund the collective response.
And I believe the collective response, actually, I think today, they are holding a community discussion meeting with stakeholders on recovery housing programs that they may be proceeding with. And it's an odd arrangement, but it's working well. The oddity of it is the dollars in many cases are coming directly to us, but in order for us to spend them, for us to be able to appropriate them, we have to go through this process that the OAA has defined. And it's actually working well. It helps put some kind of structure and discipline around the funding. And so, as Wayne said, sometime next year we'll be back again for the next iteration of the 5-year plan as we proceed forward with these.
Well, I think you answered all my questions. One was just to be reminded of when the 5-year opioid settlement plan was adopted. You answered that one for me. Bob mentioned the gold standards, because I was going to ask that. You mentioned the other partners as well. And you talked about the projects that were described in the 5-year opioid settlement plan, which Bob went over, which was an attachment. With regards to the collective response team, you mentioned that it was through the ARPA money. When the ARPA money runs out, how will you continue?
So the idea,
be part of that?
Yes, the idea was we knew this litigation was pending when we helped with the regional commission kind of stand up the staff for the peer recovery. So we used ARPA dollars for 2 years worth of funding And then the opioid settlement dollars are what will carry that group forward from that point forward.
Oh, okay. That was all I had. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion?
Thanks, man.
Madam Clerk, go ahead and call the roll on this budget order.
Okay. Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? Mayor Lee?
Aye. And the budget ordinance passes. Thank you. Item number C is the acquisition of real property right for the Greenway connection to Riverland Road Star Trail parking lot improvements. There's an ordinance.
We move the ordinance.
Second.
Madam Clerk, could you read the title paragraph?
Yes, sir. An ordinance providing for the acquisition of additional real property rights needed by the city in connection with the Greenway connection to Riverland Road Star Trail Parking Lot Improvements Project, authorizing city staff to acquire such property rights by negotiation, authorizing the city manager to execute appropriate acquisition documents, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
All right. Any discussion by members of council?
I do have one question, and this is for Bob, and I'm sorry, Bob, I didn't ask in advance. On this one, do you have any idea when these improvements will be taking place?
Luke, do you have?
Yeah, after the right-of-way acquisition phase, we'd advertise, so we're looking at this summer, next summer,
Next 2024?
to advertise for construction.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I know you all know this, but in here, obviously, the property rights that we're trying to acquire really are either temporary construction easements or drainage easements. The parking lot itself is, of course, already there and will be resurfaced as a part of this project.
And have the property owners, especially the private ones, not as much as the businesses, they've been notified?
Yes, we reached out as part of the stakeholder input to advise them of the project and show them what it entails.
Okay.
And
That's
I
it.
think
Thank
of
you.
the 6 that are being acquired, Appalachian Power and the Western Virginia Water Authority are the owners of 4 of those 6, and then there's two private property
Two
owners.
private, yes. Okay. Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? And Mayor Lee?
Aye, and the ordinance passes. I'm pleased to recognize our city manager for comments.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have a couple of comments that I wanted to put forward. One of those is around United Way, and I think as all of you know, United Way of Roanoke Valley is celebrating its 100th anniversary and 100 years of positive impact on the community. You all actually issued a proclamation in October, along with a whole host of others, actually all the way up to the president. They received a proclamation from both the governor as well as president and others with that acknowledgement. And I wanted to take the opportunity probably each month, not at every one of my comments, but each month, I'd like to be able to highlight some of the work that they're doing. And the reason for that is United Way is the only nonprofit partner that we have, in effect, allowed kind of inside the municipal building. And by that I mean they're the only nonprofit partner that we actually do a workplace campaign. So many of our employees are contributors to the work of United Way. I currently serve on the board of United Way, and so does Jillian, serves on the board of United Way, and Chris has in the past. And Chris is actually our campaign kind of coordinator here as well. So it's a different kind of partner than what we have in many of our others, in that we are direct through our employees, funders of those. And I think it's important to kind of highlight the work that they're doing. So I just want to mention a couple of the things, and then again, once a month at each of these, I'm going to kind of highlight a little bit more of the impact that they're doing. Since 2018, they've had an objective to help 10,000 families arise out of poverty to achieve self-sufficiency by 2030. So that they established that goal in 2018, and as of 2023, they've achieved that with 4,445 families, so about halfway there with 7 years left. And they do that by focusing on 4 different groups of residents throughout the region. Early learners, so these are children 0 to 5 years of age, where they're working with them on school readiness and reading. Successful youth, these are folks that are 6 to 18 years old, working with them on developing skills for them to have success post-high school, and empowered adults, where they're working with them on physical and financial health, hopefully to secure additional employment and then make better use of that wealth with those. And then as a community resource hub, where they're coordinating care with partners, which is kind of the traditional role you're familiar with United Way. In each of those, hopefully you see not only are our employees contributors to those efforts, but we also have partnerships with those. Think of the work that the Star City Reads does, for example, with early childhood learning, or our Financial Empowerment Center and Bank On program for those empowered adults as well. The campaign this year is seeking to raise $3 million. That is the highest that they have sought to raise in a number of years. But what's notable is 40 years ago, so 40 years ago in this community was the first time that United Way raised $3 million. That would be, I just did the math before I came in here, that's equivalent of about $8.8 million. So 40 years ago, we were contributing as a community $3 million, and certainly, hopefully, with celebration of the 100th anniversary, we're able to achieve that to continue to help in those ways. So again, I'd like to be able to, just one of my updates each month to bring back some kind of demonstration of the work that they're doing throughout the remainder of this 100th anniversary for them. Second item I want to remind everyone about is we have our next police department community meet and greet. That'll be on the 8th, beginning at 6 o'clock, and this one will be in the south part of Roanoke, so it's at the United Methodist Church on Jefferson. This will most notably be the first that Chief Booth will be in attendance, and then on November 29th, we'll be holding our next one in southeast Roanoke, and that will actually be at the First Church of the Nazarene over on Highland, also at 6 o'clock, and that's on the 29th for that. But the first one will be on this week on the 8th, and again, it's at 6 o'clock. And then last, I know you all know this as well, but I certainly want to be able to mention publicly so folks are aware of it. But the Blue Ridge Outdoors magazine, every year they do a series of different kind of bests of across the entirety of the Blue Ridge region. And one of those that is most notable are when they do their top 100 adventure towns. And out of those 100 adventure towns, they select a town in each of the categories, being large town, medium town, small town, and tiny town with those. And this year, actually, Roanoke was selected as the winner in the large town category. And what I think is notable about that is, I just want to mention a few of the communities that we were in competition with as we were going through this. But Asheville, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Columbia, South Carolina, Knoxville, Tennessee, Lexington, Kentucky, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Raleigh, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia Beach, and Winston-Salem are just some of the. So those are the communities that we were in competition with, and we were selected by the magazine as the winner of large towns. The runner-up was Asheville, North Carolina, and Lynchburg. So actually out of the top 3 in that category of communities, 2 over here in the Blue Ridge region of Virginia. So certainly wanted to note that. Don't know that we'll be at the top next year, but wanted to make sure that while we're at the top, we go ahead and acknowledge that as we go forward. So
That's great.
those are my comments. Thank you.
Well, it's good news. It's good news. I like to see us finish on top of any category, but that's real good news. Thank you.
And Mayor, before we move on, if I may, since the city manager, since this is with some of his comments, Bob, do you think you could speak a little bit about the deer calling program?
Sure,
Just
yeah.
so the public will know where we're at with that.
Yeah, and especially since we had a call earlier today, it kind of relates to this too, to let folks know. So as you all know, we reinstated the deer calling program that had been suspended during COVID. We did it under the contract that we had previously. The vendor that actually owned that company had sold the company, so even though it's under the same contract, we were able to use the transfer for that. So it'll be a different company, but same service. And so that will begin in January. That's when they have selected to begin the calling of that work. Just as we've done in the past, the venison that they harvest from that program is provided to the rescue mission, and they use it as a part of their meals programs that they have there at the rescue mission. I would expect, all things being equal, it will probably result in about 150 or so deer being removed. I do think it's always important to remind folks that this is not like a call service saying, hey, we've got deer in our yard. Everybody has deer in their property. Right. This is our vendor working with property owners where hunting can occur safely, and that's where the hunting will occur. So they will be initiated by them. The significance of the call that we received earlier today is We had a call from someone who had somebody come on their property indicating that they had had permission as part of the city's program for deer hunting to be on their property. That program has not started, and individuals will not be contacted in that fashion. They'll be contacted by the vendor directly, not by someone coming to actually hunt on their property. So, but January is when that work will begin, and then you'll see that item reappear in next year's budget. We're doing it this time out of some savings that we have, but we'll reinstate it in the budget proposal going forward. So yeah, around sometime in January is when they'll begin their work. And they usually are finished by February. I mean, it moves fairly quickly as they work through, so, thank you.
Thank you.
And the other one, I believe, just for public sake, with regards to the Evans Springs, I believe you mentioned that you would have a report coming forward.
Yeah.
If you want to share anything.
Yeah,
on that.
we are nearing completion of our work with the consultants that we've hired, and so we're reviewing all of that information currently, and we'll either be bringing it forward for briefing, not action, but for briefing with you all at your next November meeting, so November 20th or December 4th. We haven't yet determined that. Chris Chin and I are kind of reviewing what we've received to determine how much more information we need before we're ready. But certainly by December 4th, that will occur. That will be a briefing for you all to just kind of get caught up to speed. And as a part of what that briefing will include is what are the next steps associated with that. So, and we'll certainly get that information out there so folks know when that's going to occur.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item number 2A is under the city attorney is a refund of erroneously assessed taxes previously paid by Carillion Patient Transportation LLC. There's an ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
An ordinance directing the city treasurer to refund Carillion Patient Transportation Services LLC the principal amount of $120,914.32, together with interest at the rate of 10% from the date such taxes were paid, as a result of an erroneous assessment of certain taxes.
All right, any discussion by members of council? Mr. Spencer, could you just shed some light on this for the public?
Just real quickly, we have the Commissioner of Revenue here. This is a situation, it's a mechanism established in the state code as to what happens if there's an error in the assessment of taxes and those taxes are paid. We're following that process where you refund not only the amount of the taxes paid in error, but also a 10% on top of that. So this is something that we don't have to do very often here. Of the localities, it's far more often. That's a result, I believe, of the detailed work of our Commissioner of Revenue.
Okay, thank you. And our commissioner is here. Good to see you this afternoon. All right, any discussion, members of council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Vivian is absent. And Mayor Lee?
Aye, and the ordinance passes. Item number 8 is reports of committees. We have none. Unfinished business, none.
It does pass, Mr. Mayor, but...
Yeah, the ordinance passes.
But we'll have to bring this back because we don't have sufficient votes.
Yeah, because Vivian is not here, you only have 4.
Has she left?
She just stepped out for a
We'll
minute.
come back to it.
We can table this towards the end of the, we have a
Let's table it
different,
for the end of this meeting.
yes.
So
We
come
can
back.
do that because then we can adopt it,
Temporarily, do we need a motion or anything?
if you could, please.
A motion to temporarily table the current matter. Do we need to reconsider the vote? Anything?
I
We'll
believe
get
that
there
there will be a motion to
when we get there later.
reconsider
Okay.
at that time.
A motion to temporarily table the matter. We just reconsider later.
Second.
All right. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Okay, Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
And Mayor Lee?
Aye. And so we'll reconsider this item later in the meeting. Item number 8 is reports of committees. None. Unfinished business, none. And item 10.1 is the introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions. A resolution designating a voting delegate and an alternate voting delegate for the annual NLC City Summit Business Meeting to be held on Saturday, November 18th in Atlanta, Georgia. There's a resolution.
Move the resolution.
Second?
I want to know first who the names are.
Amend the resolution?
Well,
Have those people named?
Their name.
No, we,
do we have the resolution in front of us? I have a question for you before procedurally.
Have one with blanks. I haven't been given the names.
I have.
So will we do it with names and then amend it after?
no.
No, she's going to read.
I'm going to read the names. I'll read the names.
She's going to
I
read
have
the names, and then that will be included
Yes.
afterwards.
And it'll have to be somebody that's attending.
Yeah,
You're not
Yeah.
attending.
we got it.
No, yeah, I know.
Second.
We got
We
it.
have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, Madam Clerk, you got a second. Can we read the title paragraph?
Yes, I will. I'll read the entire measure with the names in, so there
Thank
won't
you.
be any problems.
Perfect.
A resolution designating a voting delegate and alternate voting delegate for the annual business meeting of the NLC City Summit. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of Roanoke as follows. The Honorable Vivian Sanchez Jones is hereby designated voting delegate on behalf of the City of Roanoke, Virginia, for the business meeting for the annual NLC City Summit to be held on Saturday, November 18th, 2023 in Atlanta, Georgia. The Honorable Peter Volleson is hereby designated as alternate voting delegate on behalf of the City of Roanoke, Virginia, for the business meeting for the annual NLC Summit to be held on Saturday, November 18th, 2023 in Atlanta, Georgia. The city clerk is directed to take any action required by the NLC with respect to certification of the city's official voting delegate and alternate voting delegate.
All right, any discussion?
Discussion. Peter, do you want to try and flip that? She's not here right now, or are you happy keeping it that way?
She's already agreed.
She's in
Okay,
agreement.
I'm just, no, it's fine.
He just picking with him like so
It's fine.
today has changed.
Yeah, he'll have the vote and she'll be alternate. No, that's fine. That was just a playful
All
comment.
right, all right, Madam Clerk, you call the roll.
Yes. Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones is away. And Mayor Lee?
Aye, and the resolution passes.
You did all that back there?
All right, let's go finish, we'll come back on that. Item number 11, motion and miscellaneous business. Inquiries or comments by the mayor and members of city council. Let me just say for the public and even the audience here, that this Saturday, November the 11th, Roanoke and Salem will again be hosting the CIAA, which is the Division II Football Conference Championship game here in Salem. And it's important that, well, the two schools that will be playing will Virginia Union University from Richmond and Fayetteville State University from Fayetteville, North Carolina. And this is about the 8th year. And the game has served us good, served the community good, because we got a lot of people who are coming in for hotels, and we'll be dining at our restaurants, and so it's has been very good to us economically. And I'd ask everybody that can to attend. Tickets for students are $7, and tickets for adults prior to the game is $15. Now, that's, I think, a really reasonable price for Division II, and let me say the CIAA is the oldest HBCU conference in the country. And it's been a big item for us, and I think it's put us on the map from a lot of cities from the East Coast, because the schools go all the way up to Lincoln, Pennsylvania. We have a school there, and it comes right down to Bowie, Maryland, and of course Virginia Union, which is in Richmond, Virginia State University, which is in Petersburg, and then in North Carolina we start at Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, are some of the schools that are in this conference. And so it's a big to-do. It's a real big event for our community, and I'd ask those of you to go out and purchase the tickets and attend, because as with everything, this has to go up for bid as to who gets this conference, and we're being challenged by Durham, North Carolina, and a lot would depend to the officials in the conference as to the draw, the crowd that we have. And I think if we do that, and I feel pretty good, because this is the first year in about 4 years that we've had a Virginia school playing for this championship. Normally it's Bowie, Maryland, and Fayetteville, North Carolina. So, but and the CIAA has a good relationship with our city, with our recreation department. They come, they play a number of their championships here. They play the bowling championship, women's volleyball championship, and the conference cross-country championships. And this conference is based in Charlotte, North Carolina. So for them to be here in Virginia and with us, we don't have a school in there, but with us, I think says a lot about the valley and the facilities here, and especially the facility over at our neighboring Salem Stadium, which will again host the NCAA Division III championship game here. So we got a lot of things going for this, and these conferences bring people from across the country, So I want to urge you and all my colleagues, as I normally do, ask you to get a ticket to attend, but at least to support what we're trying to do out there. Tickets again are $15 for adults and $7 for students. If you're a student, I don't care if you're in college, high school, or whatever, if you're a student, the ticket is only $7. And I think after age 7 from age 7 through down, I think it's free. So if not, then you give me or the city manager a call, and we'll see if we can work that out. But again, it's a big activity here, and both teams bring their bands, and it'll be a good entertainment. They'll be here from Thursday through Saturday, the teams will, and a lot of activities are planned. And of course, I'm being alumni of Virginia Union, I'm getting a lot of calls for tickets and events and those kinds of things. So I want to make sure it's successful, but more than anything, I want to make sure we win the championship. That's most important. So I just want to pass that on to everyone here and then the viewers that are watching us on RVTV. All right. All right, item number 2.
Wait, okay.
Is
We're still
anybody
doing
else?
inquiries and comments?
Pardon me?
We're still doing inquiries and comments?
Yes, we still do.
I'll just have brief comments to make. Apologies for missing this morning. I wanted to talk about the naturalization ceremony and then part of what relates to what I missed this morning during discussion, but I was able to watch online. It was a beautiful ceremony, and after Judge Urbanski spoke about a couple of things, and namely that for the people in that room, some people think it's the end, and it's really the beginning, and that they need to step up for service in their community. And he talked about, I felt the heat of the moment when he talked about when you disagree with your elected officials, you should peacefully stand up and vote to partake in the elections and vote to replace them if you disagree. That was something, as I saw eyes of at least 44 new voters in the room at some point soon. But one of the things that Judge Urbanski talked about was stepping up and serving and finding ways that you can do that locally, at the state, and at the federal level. And I know this morning I missed the discussion as it related to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. I think that there were a lot of relevant points that were made. But personally, I think that there were a lot of changes that I would have offered to the ordinance had I had an opportunity to speak on it at the time. But I do know that it is being postponed until the December 6th meeting, it
Yes.
sounds like.
First meeting in December, so that
before it will
everyone
come
gets an
back. And
opportunity to review.
it's my hope that this council will try and find some form of something that can be codified, whether or not it falls under permanent boards or somewhere else. This board was originally put in from a master plan that was approved in 2000, and then a resolution in 2002 that appointed the people serving on it. And since then, it's operated by its bylaws and rather outside of our code. And I think a lot of what will improve our relationship with this board and our other boards is finding some way to develop a good framework to move forward. And so I think December 6th, that discussion will continue. I just hope it'll be the will of this council to find something to do and not put it in our code at all. So that's just what I wanted to offer.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. All right. Item number 2 is vacancies on certain authorities, boards, commissions, and committees appointed by council. And I'm going to ask Ms. Moon Reynolds to share with us the appointments and reappointments that were made in closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Virginia First City's Board of Directors, Council Member Stephanie Moon Reynolds, Human Services Advisory Board, Sharon Tolliver Hardy, Roanoke Neighborhood Advocates, Betty Whitaker, and Towing Advisory Board, Sergeant Ray Shanks. And I believe we need to do a residency waiver for him, city residents, since he's non-city. So I would ask also if you would vote to waive his city residency requirement.
Who's the person again? Repeat
Sergeant Ray Shanks for the Towing Advisory Board. He was being recommended by Deputy Chief Stokes to serve in that capacity as the chief's designee.
Okay. All right, do we need to vote on that before we go into the appointments approval?
We do the appointments, and then you can do the waiver.
All right. Basically, as we normally do, once the clerk is calling the roll, if you're in favor of the appointments and reappointments, please let it be known by saying or voting all nominees. All right? Madam Clerk, you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Pretty?
All nominees?
Mr. Volleson?
All nominees.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
All nominees.
Ms. Sanchez Jones?
All nominees.
And Mayor Lee.
All nominees.
And I would now make a motion that we waive the city residency requirement for Sergeant Ray Shanks to serve as I think it's I want to say the city's representative with the police department on the Towing Advisory Board.
Second.
All right. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? And Mayor Lee.
Aye. And so, Mr. Shanks is welcome aboard. Now we need to go back and do the
Yes.
item 2A.
Mayor Lee, at this time, I would make a motion to reconsider the vote by which we approved refunding an erroneously assessed taxes previously paid by Carolian Patient Transportation LLC, or whichever ordinance resolution that was. Yes.
All right, is there a second?
And I'll second.
All right, and let it be known for the record, we're doing this because Ms. Sanchez Jones was absent when we voted on it at first. All right.
I think we vote first now to reconsider, and then we'll be before.
Yeah, to bring it back to
All
the
right.
table.
Madam Clerk, call the roll again on it.
All right. Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones?
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye. All right. So do we need to,
I'll move the ordinance.
And I'll second the ordinance.
all right,
just to be clear as to what we are, if the clerk could read the title
Title
paragraph.
paragraph, yes.
All right, Madam Clerk, can you read the paragraph, please?
Sure will. Hold on just one minute. Is it 72A? Okay.
Yes.
An ordinance directing the city treasurer to refund Carillion Patient Transportation Services, LLC,
Yes.
the principal amount of $120,914.32, together with interest at the rate of 10% from the date such taxes were paid as a result of the erroneous assessment of certain taxes.
All right, we've had some discussion on it. If there's any more discussion, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Oh, can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Discussion wants this up. Well, what is the purpose of the 10%, just to make it for the fact that they paid and it was an error? And are we required to do the 10%, or is this?
Yes, it's specified by code.
Okay, all right, then no further questions.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
All right, Mr. Pretty?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones?
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye. And the ordinance passes. Okay, if there's no further business set forth to come before the council meeting for November the 6th is hereby adjourned.